Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org. Consequence and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks for making you here for checking out the series. Hit that subscribe button while you're hanging around. You're going to get new interviews just like this one sent your way every single week. You can grab us at also the audio version over in podcast land, Spotify, Apple Podcast, NPR, WFPK.org, Consequence, or of course right here on YouTube for the video versions. Anywhere you get your podcast from, you can subscribe to Kyle Meredith with. That's me, Kyle Meredith. Today, going to be talking with Erika Christensen. Now, you know Erika, her breakout movies back in the 2000s was Swim Fan and Traffic. You've also seen her in Parenthood, and lately, Will Trent. We'll actually talk about Will Trent a little bit today, but we're mostly going to be talking about the movie After All. This is an indie movie, a beautiful indie movie. I'm going to read about it right here. When Ellen returns home to care for her ailing mother and estranged teenage daughter, the three generations of women are confronted by buried secrets and the path toward love and forgiveness. She stars alongside Penelope Ann Miller, who I also talked to about this movie. You can see that in the series, as well as Kiera Muhammad, Zach Gilford, and so many more. Erika is the executive producer as well as starring in the movie. So I'm going to talk about what was it about this story that made her not just want to act in it, but want to be part of the whole process and what that meant in this situation. Of course, we're going to be talking about the story. We're going to be talking about a movie that tells about generational trauma, really at its base. And her character, her life is a mess. Her life is a mess, and there's actually some similarities, tiny similarities to her character over on Will Trent. So we'll talk about that. We're really going to get deep into this and get into the ins and outs of how this beautiful movie was made. So let's do it right now and talk about the movie After All. It's Kyle Meredith with Erika Christensen.
Ew, I like your records.
Thank you. You got I don't know what's the Prince, Bowie, REM? What's the big ones for you?
I mean, Prince. What is the red striped shirt? Who's that?
Oh, it's Maya Hawke.
What? She released an album?
She released three albums.
What?
Yeah, she's one of the most incredible lyricists. I'm telling you right now. Yeah,
Wow.
like turns out she can do both of the things, and she does it
Yes.
really well too.
That's incredible. I better listen to them.
Go check it out.
Wow.
Recommended.
Okay,
Now I'm gonna
perfect.
need an album from you. That's
Yeah. I'll think on that. I'll give you one.
you can do it. You
I
can
mean,
do
although I also feel like there's probably nothing that you haven't heard, like if you're like a real music guy.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Surprise me, dazzle me.
Okay, I'll try. I'll try.
Hey, after all, what a beautiful movie. What a beautiful movie this
Wow.
is.
Thanks.
Seriously. It's you're starring, but also executive producing. I mean, that must have meant something. Like this must have meant something for you to jump in on both sides.
Yeah, it's funny. By the time I came on board, I didn't develop it. Well, I did some. There was already a script and the financing was coming together. And so I definitely had a hand in continuing to develop it from when I came on board because that was November 2021, right?
Yeah.
Good Lord. And then also in just putting it together as far as, I called Zach Gilford to see if he would play Bobby and Mike O'Malley to see if he would play Ellen's boss. I forget his name right now. But they both brought so much. And then it takes a lot to just keep the show on the road
Mhm.
when you're making a movie like this that has a small budget and a small crew. And so,
But that's the passion, right? I mean, like, there's got to be a reason. What's the line, right? Movies are impossible to make, to
yeah.
get it made, and to take a story like this is a heavy story, and this is a story that's not afraid of silence. To be a little movie and for you to figure out a way to make it happen. I mean, again, I guess that's what I'm asking is like, it's like, what did you see in it that made you know the road ahead is not going to be the easy one and still say, let's do it?
And still say, let's go. Um, I I loved this character. I loved Ellen. I mean, the whole story is really poignant. But I found her really interesting that she was sort of living like she was still 21 and at this point when we meet her is when life forces her to finally grow up. Um, I think it's pardon my dog, that's Ronnie in the background.
Happy to have them nearby.
I feel like there's something also that grabbed me about her and about this story where um she's when we meet her, she's not ready.
Hmm.
You know, she would just keep on going exactly the way she has been if she could. And she knows she's not doing great. She knows she's a mess, but she would just be happy to be like, "Hey, I am who I am, you know, take it or leave it." Um, so that little piece of her is interesting to me. And then also, you know, the whole family and their story and the way that it unravels is it's just so interesting. And then ultimately, you know, the hope that we find at the end is not sappy. It's like a very it's sweet, but it's very grounded,
Hmm.
sort of open-ended, let's see how things go. And I really appreciate that too.
It's because of all those things that you're saying. As I was mentioning, not being afraid of the silence. It does feel like a movie not of this era, almost. Like it feels like a movie a lot of people wouldn't take a chance on or would be afraid to make, and that's why it works. That's not why it works. It works for a lot of reasons, but it does work in a time when a lot of people say this won't work.
It's funny how there are always the trends in filmmaking of, you know, what's working, let's do more of that. And but human stories about relationships and about people doing their best and encountering challenges they never expected and all of that, like that's just life, and that will always have a place in movie making. I'm sure of it. I was gonna say I hope, but no, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Well, it has to. It has to.
Yeah. I
Let's
mean,
keep saying that.
not make movies about ourselves.
Yeah.
And I love like, you know, supernatural horror movies also, but
Mhm.
there will always be a place for human conversation.
Yeah. And for the stuff you all are tackling. I mean, there's generational trauma that, is so much at the base of this. And to see you playing like the way you're talking about, like she knows she's a mess. We don't exactly know if she's an alcoholic, but it feels like she might be. And even thinking of on Will Trent with Angie, like how to do that without overplaying it. Like
Uh,
what is that? Where does that come from? And how did you end up playing two characters that sort of have a little bit of a similarity?
yeah, it's interesting because they do have that in common. The we had just shot the pilot of Will Trent when we made After All. And I was in Austin, Texas for After All when I got the call that we got picked up and we were gonna go to series. And it's funny, I feel like I mean I've been acting my whole life. And it's a visual medium mostly. So of course what's represented visually matters, but from an acting standpoint, rather than a filmmaker standpoint, from an acting standpoint, if something is true, you don't have to prove it.
Hmm.
It's just true. And so I think that's kind of how I walk that line that you're talking about of you know, I don't need to I don't need to do anything to prove to anyone anything that is true about myself. Either you can sense it or not, but it's true, and that's all there is to that, you know?
Yeah. But that's a, for you not to be stumbling around, as or something like that. Like I noticed that anyway. I noticed how well that was done, in those moments. And I don't know, to be like I don't know how long this shoot was, but to be embodying someone like this every day for a certain amount of time, like is there a weight to that?
You know, there are different schools of acting, and I'm sure there could be, but the one that I subscribe to is really that the most freedom for the character is in a strict demarcation, so that I let her go as far as she needs to go because I can always come back to me,
Mhm.
and I don't take it home. I little things like she has an accent, like little things might have popped up where like, oh, that's a physicality and that's something that I'm kind of practicing or something. And I was like, oh wow, okay, there's that. But emotionally, um, A, I don't take it home. And B, it's being a creative endeavor, it's inherently like fun,
Mhm.
even though and it's an odd thing, but sometimes some of the heaviest, scariest, most evil, most traumatic, all of the things, those scenes are sometimes the most fun because they require even more creation to get away from the reality of, like just our day that we're having, or like, dang, it's hot outside, or, man, I need another cup of coffee, or whatever it is, that just that the mundane is so far from that circumstance. And I think that's what makes it really, fun is kind of a
Uh-huh.
cheat word, it's oversimplified, but it scratches an itch, um which is why somebody was asking me the other day, how do you choose these roles, or why do you choose these roles your whole life, like all these characters that are messed up in various ways. And I was like, I mean, now I don't know, now I'm just looking for something that I think is cool. But when I started, I definitely wanted to get as far away from myself as I could, because then I was really acting, like, and I don't have that particularly anymore. But that's a valid thing to be like, it requires that much more creativity, just creation of this other world that does not exist, if it's very different.
Yeah, yeah. And that world, you said something a minute ago because you said it's hot outside, and I was talking to Penelope too, and she said it was hot inside.
So
By the
hot.
way, that was that house. That house. The moment, the very first scene, right? We see that house,
Yeah.
and I thought, I hope we're in this house for this whole movie because I want to be in. And you were.
Oh, good. Yeah, and it's such a great little house. It looks like a horror movie. It looks like, and
It
it,
could have
and
been a horror movie.
yeah, it could have been if we had been, at earlier points in these people's lives. Yes, it was a horror movie. And the house looks so beautiful. The way that super like wide lens, you can see everything.
Mhm.
That whole environment is really, yeah. That house
Yeah.
was great, but too hot, and no central air, of course.
No central air. One, that's what she's saying. One in the. I remember that. Like, I grew up. I'm in Kentucky, but I grew up in the middle of nowhere in Kentucky. I'm in Louisville now. It's a nice city, but
Yeah,
growing up, in the 80s and 90s in the middle of nowhere, like everything about those surroundings, like, yeah, no, I lived that. I was there. That's
you could feel it too. You could feel the weight of the air.
can. And
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like for this to be an indie film, a small movie, as they say, it feels so big the way it's done. And I mean, the photography, of course, is beautiful on this thing, and just the way that you all pull this off. Because that again, I will say this for a beautiful story, but if it's not done the right way, I mean, it could have been boring, right? And it's not. It's not even a little bit boring. But choices are made and you go the wrong way, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
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 So,
It could have been boring or it could have been ultimately like a downer.
sure.
And it's not that either. Without being saccharine, it's not a downer. Not like, oh, we're all screwed. All just doomed to repeat the sins of our fathers and like no.
How was the accent work, by the way? Have you done Southern accent before?
No, not not at work. I've done, it's funny, there's like various, I have friends that do a German accent, like that's the default. For some reason, the default accent, like when you're just being silly, is German. So like I have a bunch of friends that do German accents, including my brother, who I know this is not the answer to your question. I'll get to it. I did a film called All at Once. Um, that's a great little indie movie too about an artist with a burgeoning career in New York in September of 2001, and he's the godfather of his close friends, two little girls, and then they perish in the 9/11 attacks, and he's a guy now that has two young girls, and then the story picks up 10 years later, and it's their life, the three of them, and it's fantastic. But my brother auditioned for this character who's an art critic, and then he got this job, and then he's at work, and our friend Johnny Abrams, who directed the film, was like, "Do you think you could do this with a German accent?" And I was like, "Watch this." And of course, he pulls it out of his hat, and that's the take that made the film too. It was incredibly satisfying. However, um, I I have a bunch of family in Tennessee
Hmm.
now. My in-laws and that whole side of the family, and it's interesting, like studying the similarities and differences because this is my hands, this is the map. I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, this is East Texas. Um, um, and the funny thing is just, as with any sort of character thing, you just have to go there.
Sure.
And once you're there, then it's fine. It's just, if you look at it from over here, you're like, oh, I don't want to go there. But then you go there and you're like, oh, yeah, duh, this is fine. And trying to make those decisions about, well, she's been in Austin this long, and so she doesn't really have an accent, but then she gets pissed off all the time, so then the accent comes back, and
Mhm.
and then she goes home, so of course the accent's back and all
Which is
that.
definitely how that works.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
I call my parents, the accent comes on. That's the whole thing. Yeah, no. But now I'm entertained. I would love to see her with a German accent on top of that. So I think that scene
Oh,
somehow hit the cutting room floor.
that would be fascinating. No, yeah, if you get the chance, what is it? Where is it streaming? This a great little film
Yeah,
called All at Once.
I'll look for it. I will. And speaking of
At
looking
least
for things,
already watched after all. Yeah.
yeah, wrapping it up too, because it's so great to see Will Trent and the continued success of that as well, and just returning to characters always seems so interesting to me. How do you have to tap back into something kind of a thing, affectations and all that, like remembering? Is it muscle memory?
It is, but it's also the same little, whatever the same little things that formed my first sense of her. Going back and grabbing that, I have the first scenes that where I ever inhabited Angie on my phone, and I have a couple times throughout the years gone and been like, who is she again? And just like checked in. Um, Liz Heldens, who is one of our showrunners, and adapted the books to the degree that they are adapted for our show. She wrote the pilot, is what I'm getting at. She and Dan Thompson. One of the first things that she said about Angie is she thinks you're an idiot, and I was like, oh, that's
What a
so
great jumping off point.
clear. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so clear, and so like you just go the little touchstones of like, all right, and at this point, coming on 4 years into a show, what's great is that these characters' relationships, now we've lived them, now we don't have to read about their backstory or imagine it. We've lived all of it together, so all of that is right there. It's like I was saying before, you don't have to prove it if it's true. It's
Right.
just right there.
Yeah. I love seeing what you guys do. Congratulations on that. But seriously, getting After All out into the world, I know it's no small feat, and it's such a beautiful movie, and the story and the acting and everything. Congratulations on it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna
You-
keep getting it out there.
And thanks so much for taking the time to talk. It's been a
Oh, it was
pleasure.
a pleasure. Absolutely.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.